What's up, YouTube? My name is Batman, and before I dive too far into this, let me just say that this match is a perfect example of why you should never get discouraged. Basically, this was one of those matches where I'd been playing Call of Duty for way too long that day, where I just kind of woke up, started playing Call of Duty, and played till for 12 or 13 hours straight. And it got to that point where, you start getting on a roll where you start getting your kill streaks a lot. And then when you get into a scenario where you don't get your kill streaks, you get really pissed off. And, I'm saying this, you're going to see like 4 or 5 times here, I get on a kill streak, I start getting, my blood pumping. I'm at 4 or 5 kills, 6 kills. There's one instance where I'm like 1 away from my VSAT. And like 4 or 5 times in a row, I die while I'm on these streaks. And that gets really frustrating really fast. And you'll see, every now and then I watch a kill cam because I think the kill was a bunch of BS. There's one point where I almost rage quit. You can see I hit start, but I stopped myself because I'm like, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy who rage quits because he's such a spoiled brat that he is angry because he can't get his super high kill streaks. And I push through, and then in the end it turns out to be a pretty good game. And obviously, getting 4 or 5 kills a death and then dying isn't the most discouraging feeling in the world, but I think it can be applied, the mindset is the same, and I think it can be applied to other scenarios. Like if you have a bad start to a game and, maybe you're going negative, don't get discouraged, don't give up, because if you start getting into that mindset, it's just sort of cyclical, like it'll build off of itself. Failure will build off of failure. You'll get angry about a certain death, and that anger will lead you to die more. Stay positive. Stay positive is what I'm trying to say. And this match is a good example of that. Now, past that, what I really want to talk about was the map Standoff. Now, Standoff is my favorite map in Black Ops 2 because for me, Standoff has the best flow. And I know flow means different things to different people, but what it basically comes down to for me is in how many different ways can you sort of creatively engage the enemy, in how many different areas, flanking routes, things like that. Now, an example of a map that would have really bad flow for me would be like Hijacked or Slums, right? Because on Hijacked or Slums, what it basically feels like is either you're in your spawn, you're in the enemy spawn, or you're in between the two spawns in essentially what I call no man's land, because no man survives there for more than a minute, right? Now, on maps like these, it's either spawn trap or be spawn trapped. And in the frequent scenario that there isn't, a concrete spawn trap, that either team doesn't have the communication, the teamwork, the party to engage a spawn trap, then it just becomes sort of this chaos. Like, it's like I said, either you'll be safe in your spawn, which is very boring. You'll be in their spawn, which is hectic, unpredictable, and it can be really fun if you're really good at manipulating their spawns while you're running around in their spawn. Like Hijacked, right? You get into their spawn, say you have A, you have B, you're pushing C. The guys you kill are spawning 3 seconds away from you no matter what. I mean, not 3 seconds away from you. Let me rephrase that. A second away from you no matter what. They know exactly where you are, and they're going to be pissed off that you're in their spawn, so they're going to come right after you. And it's fun if you do it right, but it's hard to do right, and it has to be against incompetent players to be done in a way that's fun. And and if you're in no man's land, right, if you're in the area in between their spawn and your spawn, assuming there's no spawn trap, you can't survive in no man's land for very long, Maybe on Slums you can kind of, sort of head glitch the fountain, but even then, you're going to get flanked. You can get shot from just about anywhere. On Hijacked, it's impossible to survive in that middle area for very long because you got 2 balconies on either side of you. You got people coming in on the left. You got people coming in on the right. You got people coming in from that door right in front of you. You got people running underneath and coming out behind you. No man's land is just, you can't survive there for very long, and if you do, it's because the other team is incompetent. And so those are what I would call maps with bad flow, where it's just, either you have to spawn trap or be spawn trapped, or you're going to get into one of 3 very unfavorable scenarios. But maps like this, maps like Standoff, I think are very fun because it's hard to spawn trap. on Standoff, first of all. You need a team of 6 to do it, and even then it would be kind of hectic because there's so many flanking routes, right? If you're on A and the enemy has C and B, you can flank C and B. You can do a frontal assault on B. You can do a frontal assault on C. You can flank C and B from either side, right, from left or right. And the spawns are set in a way that if you want to spawn trap, you have to spawn trap basically an entire half of the map. Which leaves the enemy room to maneuver, and it makes it easy to break that spawn trap. And so that's why I like maps like this. Cargo is another good example. Like, Cargo has its own no man's land, but it also has decent maneuvering space around that huge middle area, right? Now, the way to control Standoff, is you want to hold this middle area. You'll see me spend a lot of time in. I like to hold this area because the way I see it, whoever holds this power point holds the B flag. Now, if you're spawning on A, like I am here, and the enemy's spawning on C, they have two options, right? They can take that flank all the way around through the little barn and try to hit you at A, which isn't going to work out very well because, they're going to run into you spawning right there constantly. Or they can run a frontal assault on B and come down that road, which also shouldn't work very well if your team knows what they're doing because, you have quite a few vantage points down the middle of that road from your spawn. So the best option they can take, the best route they can take is to come through this building or through this little alleyway and try to flank B and hold you off in ADOM from that building, right? They can get up in that window and they can shoot down the street, they can shoot your ADOM building, they can hold you down, and if they do that, they will be able to get B very easily because they can get into the bed of the truck. And if they're in the bed of the truck and they have a guy in the window shooting anyone that tries to come down the street from ADOM, there's nothing you can do. And so you want to hold it, if you're on ADOM, you want to make sure you hold this building just to defend yourself from the people who are trying to keep you pushed into ADOM. Now, if you're on CDOM, it's the exact opposite scenario, but for the same reasons, right? You want to hold this building so that you can push them back into ADOM while you cap B. You don't want them running out of ADOM down that street to cap B. You don't want them sitting in those windows, sitting behind that, that one little, there's like that box on the corner right in front of B that anyone spawning on A can very easily head glitch and defend B pretty much infinitely because it's a very hard piece of cover to get around. But if you're up in the window or even down on the street level shooting from the from the power point I'm talking about, then you're golden. You can hit any power point they have on B. You can flank that very easily. And so whoever controls this building controls Standoff, and that's why I control this building the whole match. This is Batman signing out.